What's going on, Cancer? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to the Chariot Friends. I tell you what, I'm feeling about at 100 now, and it feels good to do that full strength. Justin here, and how you feeling? You ready to work with this moon in Virgo? I love when the moon's in Virgo. Personally, I feel like Virgo. I think that Virgo is definitely the problem solver. Definitely one that knows how to. I picture just Virgo just putting the pieces together, writing down just finding the solutions to the problem. We're gonna get into that definitely more here in a moment. But if you're new here, again, my name is Justin, and know that when you're coming across this video, you're in sync with the moon, and she loves that. But also, there's a place for if you happen to have Cancer in your placement, Sun, Moon, Rising, maybe Mercury, wherever. This one's for you. Or if you just want to sync up with the moon, you're all welcome here. And I do tarot card spreads based on that lovely luminary, the good old moon. I'll talk about what sign she's in, what phase she's in, when she's going void. Of course, there's all them lunar shenanigans. And just so you're all aware, this is a general reading, not a 1-2-1. So take what fits into your story, discard the rest, and everything will be dope, Cancer. Now, let's jump into it, because this is. And I even love the day that we're on. that might be all this energy too. And I'm gonna shuffle for your card of the day while we're getting through this. But depending on when you're watching this, happy Jupiter Day. Jupiter is associated with Thursdays, and I find Jupiter days are great ones for feeling optimistic. I mean, like just bringing that enthusiasm, because life has so much to offer. And has so many ways for you to move and ways to grow and expand. And I think that's why Jupiter has such an uplifting effect. Even when Big Papa's not in his best condition, it's still Jupiter. So it's like there's going to be something that you're going to get out of this thing. Life has something, no matter where you're at on the life, where we're on a high or maybe we're on a bit of a low, there's something there. There's a nugget of wisdom that Jupiter has to provide. But I find that Jupiter is a great day for teaching, for learning, for growth, for movement, for expansion, of course. And I think that this would be even just a great day to get around people who have that kind of motivating energy. Like maybe someone who has a strong Jupiter placement, maybe like myself in the first house, or maybe even just like Jupiter signs. Maybe they have a lot of Pisces, or maybe have a lot of Sag placements, especially Sag. Sag gets things fired up. I know quite a few Sagittarius. So just some things to think about with Jupiter. But also too, one thing that I like to think about with Big Papa is how is Jupiter placed in your chart? How do you experience Jupiter transits, and what does that look like for you? How do you work with that? I'm getting ready to do, not next year, but the following year. I'm coming up on a Jupiter return here soon. The last time that Jupiter was doing some stuff in my first house, like really big things happened. That's when I first had met my partner, and life really did blow up from there, and like in an expansive type of way. So there's some things to pay attention to when you're working with Jupiter. What ways do you see yourself growing? Jupiter's about to be in Cancer here soon, so all you Cancer suns and all your Cancer places about to be lit up, and Big Papa loves being in Cancer. But all right, enough about Jupiter. Let's talk about the moon. This is a lunar show. Because on the 16th of January, the moon is going to be entering into Virgo at about 8:46 a.m., and that's going to be Pacific time. And she's in a waning gibbous phase. Now, the waning gibbous is we're coming off from that high of the full moon, and this is a time for just any sort of like readjustment. I think that this is a great time to just kind of share your results of whatever it is that you've been working on, maybe over this last, this half of the lunar cycle, or whatever things that you've been working on. Great time for reflection when we're on the waning half of the lunar cycles. But now, when we're talking about specifically in Virgo, their ruler is Mercury, and Mercury is how we reason, how we communicate, just amongst other things. And in Virgo is the mutable earth sign, feminine nature, so there's a receptivity that happens with Virgo. But Virgo, I think, being the mutable earth sign, it does remind me, I get like the picture of a puzzle, that one that will solve the equation, that will will take all the details and get things into order. But Virgo's about practical application of things as well. Like there's Virgo, it's a little different with Gemini, where it's like Gemini will absorb and can teach things. Virgo, I feel like, is the merchant, the one that's doing the actual selling of the skills, that like figuring out how to turn these great ideas into profitable things, into tangible things. And I find that Virgo is when the moon's in Virgo is a great time to really tune into like the changes of the body, and not to come at it from a how can it be perfect, because you're already perfect, and I don't mean to say that in just like a generic type of way. You are a slice of the universe. There's you're a snapshot of the sky. There's no one else like you. But I think that it's like, how can you take the gifts and things that you have and put them into more application, to expand on them, and to just make them a part of your everyday. There's something very nurturing, I find. Maybe a bit disciplinarian with that Virgo touch, but there's something very nurturing, I find, with the moon in Virgo that I think can be capitalized on. So that's something I think to just kind of pay attention to whenever the moon happens to come into Virgo, and see how you feel when the moon's in Virgo, especially if you happen to have maybe a lot of mutable placements. Maybe this isn't like an ideal time. Maybe you do notice that you tend to feel a lot. I notice when the moon's in Scorpio, I mentioned this before because I got all half, like a majority of my chart is fixed placements. So I pay attention to that type of stuff when the moon's in Taurus, when the moon's in Scorpio, when the moon's in Aquarius. We pay attention to those things and work with those stuff and respond in kind. So just some things to kind of pay attention to. What house is this for you? Where do you have Virgo, and how can you nurture this, and how are you feeling about this area of your chart while the moon's here for these couple of days? So just some things to meditate on. And if you are curious about working with the moon a bit more intentionally, and all that, down in the description box below is a link for some of the services that I provide. So whether it be working with, I'll tell you what, the lunar return is one of my favorite things to do, like just as far as like doing like monthly checkups. And it's really cool how that stuff will line up. I was going through, the sun and stuff was transiting through my sixth house, and I happened to be in a lunar return that was, the sixth house was the focus. And I didn't end up getting like the full blown thing, what was going around, but I definitely noticed that, like, all right, I definitely had to get caught up on my sleep, taking care of the body, because the body was fighting off something. So like it's can be very, to be forearmed or forewarned is to be forearmed. So just something to, I feel like, to just kind of play around with. I was just talking with someone else. They're getting ready to move into where the friend focus is going to be, benefactors and things like that. So, your hopes and dreams for the future and whatnot. So it just gives you a chance to kind of think about those themes over the month, and you'll see how they pop up for you. So it's really kind of fascinating when you work with that stuff. But I think that's all I got for you there. So let's go ahead and switch over. And last couple things, these readings that I do, they're not gender specific readings, so apply these energies to people as they make sense to your situations. And then I'm going to ring this bell to bring in some good vibes, so adjust your volume if you need to. But let's get into this thing. All right. Let's see what's going on here. Ooh, look at you. You got the creation card here, which is a card of soul expression and something new. And I'm just looking at, I was getting an image while I was ringing that bell of working with kind of tangible, with earthly, material type of things while we're in, especially when the moon's in earth signs, whether this be gardening, or this could be just going out and just interacting with it. Put your hands up against a tree or something like that. Go smell a flower. Go. I was gonna say there's not really a lot of sun going out here, but even go appreciate the cold. maybe just to get some fresh cold air. But there's something here about doing something that's inspiring, in the sense that that's something new. Like maybe you've been wanting to invest, like to start a garden. Maybe it starts with just like buying a flower, or maybe you've been wanting to make new clothes, so maybe you invest in like a sewing machine or a sewing kit or something like that, and maybe you start off by repairing some of your old clothes. I remember seeing something this one, well, a couple of things. Actually, I was talking to this woman this other day, and I was talking like I liked her person. It was like these jean material that it was, and she's like, "Yeah, I made this." I was like, "Oh wow!" And there's something there about there are simple ways of doing like really kind of small things that just do the soul well. We can create in so many different type of ways. It doesn't have to be in just that sort of what you would expect, like an artist, a musician, or things. Creation could be maybe repurposing something. Maybe you turn a let's see. I'm trying to think of some examples. Maybe you have like let's say it's just like some old clothes or things like that, and you just turn them into like a bag. Or maybe you take a bucket or something. I'm not quite sure. We're applying to your situation. But there is something that's wanting to materialize, I would say, with this card. Something this is a very earthy card. That's especially since she's, of course, watering these flowers here. But even if it's just like, let's get some tarot on this and get some details on this. Let's see if I can get some examples with that. Let's see what the past energies are kind of looking like with this. Ooh, talk about the embodiment of creation. Thanks, Spirit. What's that, girl? Got the Empress. It's been a minute since I've seen the Empress come through, and this is the Empress. She's got a world here. She's giving birth to the world. She's pregnant with just all these ideas and just so much, and she's working intimately with the moon. Look at the moon hanging out over here. This gives me that thinking about just like thinking about how kids, for example, how we're all about use your imagination, get creative. And that's not something that I think you have to lose as you get into adulthood. I think that that's something, if anything, it's like going back and tapping into some like maybe old things. Maybe you used to do puzzles. Maybe you used to go out in the woods and play pretend, go on an adventure. We used to do this. Yeah. And I just think that there's something new, maybe from a past experience here, where you would feel just more abundant. And it's like, how can you bring more of that creative force into your world now? Because the Empress is Venus. And Venus is all about the pleasurable things, how to make this life more enjoyable. Cooking. I got something brewing up right now. Repurposing some things. I took some like when I go to cut up like things for like when I'm maybe like making like beans, for example, I'll cut up some like veggies to add in there, kind of stir in there, and I'll take the ends and I'll put them in like a bag and I'll freeze them. And then instead of composting them immediately, reusing them again to make like a vegetable broth or something like that. And then creating something new from that as well. Maybe a different type of soup maybe. And it's going to be something new because it's always different stuff that I'm using. But yeah, I'm getting a need for an inspiration here. Maybe I'm even like overthinking this a little bit. And that might be something that's happening here. Because I was like, why does it feel like it's hard to kind of explain this stuff? And I think that it is maybe too with Virgo, how they tend to be more geared towards the head. But it's just like dipping more into like more than what the head thinks it needs, what the body needs. There's something about that creation that just recharges you and refuels you in a way. But let's get a clarifier on this. Okay, Spirit. All right, so you have the Prince of Wands here. In the Prince of Wands, this gives me this, especially when we're talking about in the past, there was something here that like maybe just kind of fueled your fire here. And I think that there's maybe even something with the Prince of Wands, because he's the watery part, or excuse me, he's the airy part of fire. And that airy part is what fuels the fire, the things that keep him going, the things that like gives him something to look forward to. He's the only prince in this deck that has his eyes open. And there's something here about Yeah, something about seeing a past thing with new eyes, I'm even getting with this. A reinvigorating energy is definitely coming through here. Let's get some present stuff and see what's going on here. Ooh, look how, oh, and one of the signs that she rules over. So you got the Hierophant here for your present energy, and this is Taurus energy. And when I think about the Hierophant, sometimes for me this is maybe you've been doing things in there's something here about giving something structure here. About if you're not sure, maybe like let's say you used to, I'm just thinking about when we would play pretend as kids. Maybe of how that looks presently can be in like a, I don't know, I'm getting like a video game type of sense, but just something that's indulging that kid, but that it gives, it may even be like structuring some time here for that. That's just something that's coming through there. The Hierophant does things in a very orthodox type of way. And I feel like there are, and that's something new. Maybe it's playing a new video game. Maybe it's playing, even going back to a game that you used to play as a kid. Maybe you go. I remember talking with this one guy, and he was talking about playing Pokemon Go or something like that. And he was just like, "This is just one of the things that makes my inner child really happy." So I do that. I carve out time for that. That's what keeps that connection with that source. And I thought that was a very, and Aries said that, and I was just like very something. There's something very pure about that. And that I appreciated that childlike answer. It was like something just really inspiring about that, and not like a huge type of way, but maybe not necessarily just inspiring, but just really kind of heartwarming. To kind of see that kind of go. That's just to see that. But the Hierophant is a bridge between, this is, people usually go to like the Hierophant. I'm thinking in like the Rider Waite has like this Pope like figure, and it's like they would go to the person to receive some kind of divine revelations. And maybe there's something in that too as well, as far as maybe, oh, you know what, maybe that might be something that is coming through. Maybe there are some things that are, it's cool to, let's say, like, video games, movies, and things like that that can fuel the imagination. But it's not just, I think, about just receiving all the time. There's something about needing to put your own kind of thing out there. Maybe you make like your own kind of short video or something like that, or maybe you write yourself your own little mini story. It doesn't have to be anything, I think, super. It doesn't have to be your next work of art, your next masterpiece, but just something as far as getting those things just off the ground, having your own sort of story. Because, like I said, your specific manifestation of the universe when you were born. The stars were looking, and the planets were aligned in a way that is unique to only you. And there's a need. You may think that, oh, no one needs another guitarist or another woodworker, but yeah, we do. Yeah, we do, because we're not seeing what your style is like. But let's get a clarifier on this Hierophant. Ooh, speaking of someone really imaginative, thanks, Spirit. You got the Princess of Cups here. And she is one that's full of imagination. The princess would be the pages if you were to compare it in other decks. But the Princess of Cups, she's the earthy part of water. And there's something interesting about that. It's like when you add water to earth. I was listening to something the other day that brought that up in a way that I thought it was really neat to think about. How when you add water to earth, it makes how she's doing it, adding water to earth here, it makes the ground fertile. But when you add earth to water, it makes it murky. It makes it dirty, in a sense. It becomes muddy. And I think that there's something here about almost like getting stuck out, getting like unstuck out of the mud or something along those lines. I think that something's been clouding the water, and now it's time for you to pour in, like some fresh water is needed to go through, like something maybe is needing to be filtered out maybe here. Because again, the Princess of Cups is one that is very imaginative. She has a lot to offer, a lot to give of herself. She's very almost dreamy, the Princess of Cups. And there's even something here. There's a passion that I think the Prince of Wands and even the Princess of Cups kind of share. This, because he even, yeah, something very interesting there. Let's get some future energy. See what's going on there. Where this fertile energy is going. Interesting. Thank you, Spirit. So you got the Ace of Swords in reverse. And this to me is just like the ideas not being realized. This is the root of the powers of air. And so as this is before, I think even the thought is spoken or is documented. This is still something in the head here. And the soul is wanting to express itself. Maybe maybe you used to give speeches, so maybe you go to take a speech class or something along those lines. Or, again, apply it to your situation. But I think that there's something here that if these energies aren't tapped into, I don't think they necessarily disappear, but they atrophy, I would say for sure. And I think that there's something here about just even doing little things, something new to add to your routine, possibly, to keep the energy fresh, to keep the ideas fertile. Otherwise, they just kind of come and go. That inspiration just can be fleeting sometimes. Let's get a clarifier on this. I'm even kind of being drawn back to, before I get into that, thanks, Spirit, I'm getting drawn back to the Hierophant even a little bit. And when I was talking about how the keeper of the secrets or the ones who know the esoteric knowledge or whatever that might look like, I think that there's something there about being weary as far as, because the Hierophant is a unique one. He's kind of like my return to the basics, in that you do have your own connection with Source, that no one is above that, but there is some work that has to be done to access that channel. But I think that there's something here with the Hierophant that it's not letting someone tell you, or not giving someone like that, maybe necessarily that power, as far as like thinking that to take away your creativity. But I also think that maybe there's something with like a discouragement that's happening here. Because let's move to the Queen. You got the Queen of Disc here to clarify that Ace of Swords. And I think that there's something there about not letting the quality of other people's material dishearten you, because that's what people have been working on for a long time. If you compare yourself, let's say you want to start the piano, but then you listen to other people like, oh, I'll never be that good. Yeah, you'll never be that good if you just quit immediately. The Queen of Discs, she has to work under pressure. She's one that knows that if she puts in the work, that she can change, that she can go from being the one that admires to be the one that is admired. And that inspires too. I don't think that this is necessarily doing just something just for the recognition of things. I think that it's more so a self kind of gratification that comes through. This may be something that you're just doing for you. Doesn't necessarily have to be something that someone is seeing. But I think that there are a number of reasons to not make something happen, and sure, they're valid, but there are a number of reasons, I think, to keep an idea or keep something or to keep a hope alive or something along those lines that's in there. Because this is a very kind of interesting, got a lot, all these people that are here. So there's maybe some complex things that are going on with that. Maybe you liked doing something, but as soon as it became a chore or a task or something with this Prince of Wands, that you just kind of lost interest in it, felt frustrated with it. But the Prince of Wands ultimately gets to this state of victory. He gets what he's accomplished, will achieve that state of luxury. But I feel like the Prince of Wands, or I think that the Prince of Wands is one that knows that changes. Because it's like as soon as you win, there's going to be, or get to that thing, there's going to be another challenge as well. And that frustration of wanting to stay in that comfort zone but needing to grow. There's something, see, a lot going on with that. And maybe there's just like, these may not just be people that are coming up here. The court cards can just be maybe just a lot of complex emotions that are going on. Emotions, thoughts, motivations. There's something there, maybe even the influences of, yeah, whatever that might look like. So how fascinating. Let's get some advice from Mercury. Spirit. So you got the Nine of Cups in reverse. And I think that there's a chance here for some happiness, for some fulfillment to come through, but it's just not being realized yet. And I think that the advice is following that happiness, following the things that, journeying into the unknown and seeing how that wheel turns with the Nine of Cups, to see where things can potentially go for you here. And I'm even just thinking about Venus and Taurus, since you got both of those here. Because that's where Venus finds her domicile in Taurus, or one of the signs that she does. But this is the side of her that does, this is the creator here in Taurus. The one that will put in the work, that has a staying power, because it's this thing that just fills her up. It's something that just helps her get through the cycles in life. There is a deep connection here I'm even getting with the moon and how we nurture things. And let's get a clarifier with that Nine of Cups. Oh, nice. Thanks, Spirit. So the Nine of Cups is clarified by the Nine of Wands here. And let's go ahead and switch over. And this card is the Lord of Strength. And there's a lot of balance, I think, that comes with the Nine of Wands. Something that, a lot of fluctuation that tends to happen. Because this is the moon in Sagittarius. And there's something about that quest for creation. Like there's, in that creative space, there's this almost like psychic replenishment in a sense. I find it's like when you do these things that do something new, that allow you to express yourself, they help you to find new solutions in your everyday, let's say at your job or in your relationships or anything along those lines. I even think with the Nine of Wands here, there's something about a trust that I'm kind of getting, that I'm feeling with this. Or maybe like a distrusting oneself. And this might be like an insecurity here. Like there's something that's on guard, or something that is maybe, and this may sound kind of wild, but maybe it's this sense of afraid of being happy, or maybe pursuing the happiness because maybe there's been this spell of just not feeling that, and almost like, well, what would that mean? Like, there's like a new sense of responsibility, I think, that comes with that, when it's like, oh, I can get out of these things. And yeah, just it requires some kind of initiative here. So maybe there's even a defense thing there. That's take that, if only if that resonates here. But there is a way for a change to happen here, and maybe it's just with that Virgo energy, is just figuring out what that looks like, figuring out how to. Because that's interesting that like of that puzzle imagery would come for Virgo. I mean, not really, but sort of. I think that there's something in that too. Like, yeah, finish seeing something through, possibly here. But I think I'm gonna leave that there. Something to meditate on. But if you like that, if anything resonated with you, give it a thumbs up. And share this if you know somebody who can get some nuggets of wisdom from this. And then you subscribe, you Empress. Hit that bell button to get notified on all these videos each day. And then the last little bit, I'm going to shuffle for your surprise card of cards here. But if you want to know what's going on with the other planets, Mercury and such, I'm not sure what that struggle was about. But, excuse me, down in the description box below is a link for my channel Alchemist 8, thanks Spirit, where I do weekly videos talking about the celestial news weekly, the transits that are going on in the sky, and what are some ways to work with those energies to be as constructive and work as practically with them, Virgo, as possible there. So if that's something that resonates with you, definitely check that out. But let's get into your surprise card here, which is the card of working without attachment here. And the working without attachment, this one is doing that thing without the expectation of reward, just because it fuels your fire. Like, it's not to say that you can't monetize off of that or get some sort of reward or some kind of thing, but the reward is that inner satisfaction, that the soul is feeling like it's in alignment, that it feels like it's in its path. And I think this attachment is, again, it's not to like, I'm going to do this thing so that I become rich and famous. No, I'm just going to do this thing. I'm going to do this thing because I enjoy it, because it fills me up. I feel recharged after this. I was thinking with that's another thing with the Prince of Wands. Like, I was saying, he rules the first two decans of Leo and the last of Cancer in the tarot. And I'm just thinking about that transition from Cancer into Leo, where you can think of Cancer as that sort of psychic rejuvenation in a sense, and then Leo is the expression of that play energy, where you've had this chance to be with your feelings and that what it feels like to be in that imaginative space. And yeah, there's something about that there as well. But yeah, I think, and I was actually just talking with someone kind of about this, that if you weren't going to get any sort of compensation or anything, would you still be doing the things that you're doing? And I one of the things I love doing this channel, for example, and the channels that I do, and like, of course, I want to turn something in them, for them to take off and really do well, of course. But on a base level, this gives me a chance to just another form of creation for me, and to know that it's hopefully going out there and having like a positive impact as well. And I think that's where it's coming from, that pureness of that inner child, that just like to express just for this, because it's fun, just because you enjoy it. So yeah, I think I'll leave that there. I don't think this is something that you have to overcomplicate here. But until next time, Empress, keep eyes on that moon, Keep raising that vibration through to Venus. Raise that vibration. And I will catch you on the next one, Saturn Day.